All right, National Shooting Sports Month continues. This thing is another one of the classics. I'm sure I haven't shot it for probably another 15 years, 20 years maybe since I've had this one out on the range. This is a Walther P99. And if you have paid attention to anything, you know that this was James Bond's gun starting in 1997. Tomorrow Never Dies. I'm a big Bond fan. A lot of people don't have a great deal of affinity for that particular Bond movie, but one of the things that stands out is that that's when the Walther P99 became his go-to gun, replacing the Walther PPK, which infamously replaced a Beretta very, very early in the series. But anyway, that's why I wanted one of these. And of course, I had to get one in 40 Smith & Wesson because it was the late 90s, and this is the one that ended up in my collection. And of course, it's got the restricted capacity magazine. But I have an aftermarket Megar magazine that came out after the ban that I added to the collection. This one, it had interchangeable grips. I don't know where the original box is. I don't know where most of the original boxes for any of my guns are, really. But this has the large extension. I remember thinking, for whatever reason, while I don't have particularly large hands, I wear an XL kind of work glove size, but I have trouble reaching some of the mag releases on some guns. This particular mag release is one of the, I would call it HK style, but this is of course a Walther, but it's one of those European, let's say, style that goes around the trigger guard. And I can't quite reach it, especially with this large extension on the back of the grip. I could reach it with my trigger finger, but it'd be more likely, because of my normal manual of arms, that I'll bring the gun back in and hit it with the edge of my thumb when I'm going to release the magazine. The really unique thing about this double action, single action gun, and it has a great trigger. The Walther P99, I think, really does have a great double action, single action trigger, is that when it is in single action mode, of course, you get the striker protrusion out the back to let you know that this thing is now cocked. It's got a decocker button on the top. So some people get confused sometimes when I talk about extraneous levers or buttons. Well, a lot of people think of maybe the HK button on the back for a decocker, but the Walther was actually the first decocker button that I used in any period of time. And even my thumbs that sometimes struggle to reach some of the controls, like I was mentioning, even with the large back strap on here, I can reach up and hit that decocker button, no problem, to get this back into double action mode. Let's go ahead and shoot it. Such a nice gun. Really is, of course, white follower on that factory magazine. You know what I just noticed as I dropped that out? This was a time when Walther and Smith & Wesson were sort of connected at the hip. And this is a Walther P99, but at one time I had the Smith & Wesson version of this gun. And sure enough, this is a Smith & Wesson marked magazine, actually, from the ban era. And this is, like I said, the Walther marked Megar magazine that is not marked as a ban era gun. So that's interesting to me, that's the limited one. But they're both in the collection. Obviously, this one worked just fine in there. I guess it was the SW99 was the Smith & Wesson version, and I had forgotten that till I just saw that marking on there. But a really slick gun, relatively slim, relatively low bore axis, and like I said, just really, really comfortable in the hand. One of the most comfortable guns in the hand that I've had. Some might even say, if you put this up next to a PD10, that arch might look a little bit like that, but I wouldn't even have thought of that again until I busted this out for National Shooting Sports Month. What gun have you thought about? Maybe if you're watching this whole series I'm doing, have you maybe thought about bringing a gun out of the safe? Is there a gun that you used to shoot a lot that you haven't shot in a while that you want to check out? The Walther P99 was one that jumped out at me once I just committed to this series. If you haven't seen the entire series, go to my YouTube channel, check it out. Share the video, maybe encourage some other people to get excited about National Shooting Sports Month, get excited about some of these old guns I'm bringing out, some of these 1990s 40 Smith & Wessons especially. I know there's probably a lot of shooters that have never seen any of them before, and you know, they're worth taking a look at. So this was the Walther P99 James Bond gun for a long period of time. I think up until about 2000, I don't know, I'm going to say 2008-9 probably was when this was the gun that we saw in a lot of those great movies.